Hi everyone, today is the 1 year anniversary of my most recent and most devastating car accident, and I'd like to make a video about the dangers of daydreaming and driving now that I've come a long way from it. I used to not give the idea of daydreaming while driving much thought. For example, it might be on my way to work. I used to have a half-hour commute, and I sometimes would even schedule the commute as some time to prep for the meeting with my boss or what I'm going to do in the workday. I used to do that, believe it or not. Now that I look back at it, I'm glad that those were the only accidents that I've had, the ones that I did. I used to not give much thought to the idea of um, doing my personal grooming in the car almost. I almost never gave much thought to even watching a video while driving. Sometimes there's some work-related material that's in a video. I'll put it on my computer and watch it while I'm driving on my way to work. I used to do a lot of stupid things. I never did drinking and driving. I missed out on that part, thank God. I never really drank anyway. But I did a lot of stupid things that now I look back and I almost have to scare myself about it. But daydreaming was the big one because it was easy to do. You know, when you're working 10 hours a day, it's easy to try to squeeze out that extra half an hour or 1 hour a day that you spend commuting. Sometimes it was conscious. I would make a decision to do something in the car. Sometimes it was unconscious while I'm driving. Stressful situations or exciting situations just come up in my mind, and I can't resist the temptation to think over it. I now have a rule in my car. Every time I pass one of those exits on the freeway, I ask myself, am I daydreaming? And if I am, I take the exit and I find somewhere to go where I can daydream to my heart's content. I've only had to invoke that rule a few times. Usually I stop myself before I have to do that. Okay, what else have I done in the car? I used to worry about stuff that needs to be done. I think this is one of those things, as you grow older, you realize that in the past you've had things to do and they've always been done, so you don't have to worry about them. Once you gain more experience, it's kind of like computer programming. Once you know how to fix certain errors and you compile your program and you get 1,000 errors, it no longer becomes painful to see, because you know in the past you've gotten 10,000 errors and you fixed them all. This time it's only 1,000 errors. You know in the past you've gotten 50 chores and you took care of them, and they didn't cause you to miss sleep. You know, now you only have 20 chores. You know, but I had one car accident. This was almost a decade ago, where I rear-ended somebody. I was driving back to Rochester from my parents' home in Pittsburgh. I was going to school in Rochester, and as I'm driving, you see, I used to love to go into small towns, to go into thrift stores to look for antiques, or to go to the bank and get rolls of coins to search. And I had exited in a town near Erie, Pennsylvania, and I started to worry about the disaster that faced me when I got back to my apartment in Rochester. There were chores to do. There were laundry, just cleaning in general. I think I also had a friend who was visiting soon, so I needed to really clean the apartment, and I just started to worry. And so I'm not looking at the road. I'm also thinking about what I might find at the thrift store, and next thing I know, kaboom. I don't think the damage was that bad. I can't remember. I think I might have paid it out of pocket instead of getting my insurance involved. And what else happened? I had an incident one time where I had gotten a speeding ticket. The reason being that I was driving with a friend, and I didn't want to explain to her how tired I was, and we were a good 200 miles away from home, and I just wanted to rush her back home so I could go back home to sleep. And so I was going about 100 miles an hour, and I got a ticket, a pretty expensive ticket too, and that was a pretty expensive friend that I was trying to please. I just very recently had my car broken into because I was again, it was another female friend. I got too excited about seeing her. I left valuables in plain view, of just not even thinking, you know, just girls have a tendency to cause me to lose focus of what's going on. The accident I had last year also involved a girl. I had just broken up with a girl, and it was a disappointment because she likes my computer games, and we get to talk a lot about writing computer games. And maybe this is a little bit selfish of me, but she has a citizenship for a developing country, and if I marry her and gain that citizenship, I could retire at a cheap standard of living, and then I could focus on my computer games. So this is more like a backup plan, you know. Of course, I would rather be able to write my computer games here in the United States, but if it doesn't work out, it was a backup plan. The reason we broke up is because she wanted children, and of course, once we have children, it's pretty much game over for my games. I won't have the time to do it. I see so many of my classmates who, once they have children, you know, their ambitions just evaporate. I used to have a classmate who wanted to cure cancer, and ever since he had 2 children, I never heard that C word out of his mouth again. What else? Anyways, the accident happened because I was driving, and I started to worry what's going to happen to my computer games after I die. I know it's a weird thought given my age, and you know, actually I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and he said, you don't have to worry about it when, you know, when you're old, you know, that the computer games will be writing themselves, which is probably true, but I'll probably have other ambitions. I'll probably be writing the computer that programs itself, right? And I started to worry about what's going to happen to my computer games after I die. The reason being that I've been writing computer games for 5 years at that time, and I feel like I barely scratched the surface in terms of what I want to do. It feels like I've written maybe 1% of all the games I've ever written, so I'll need 500 years. And so I started to think, if I had some children with that girl that I just broke it up with, and they had some children, they all wrote computer games, maybe we really would have 500 years to do this. And so I started to think about my ex-girlfriend, all the good times we had together, and that's when traffic in front of me slowed down, and I couldn't slow down soon enough, and I thought I could pull onto the shoulder, in the process of doing so, I crashed into a large van. Actually, I was very lucky at the angle that I crashed into that. I didn't get hurt. I mean, it could have turned out very badly for both me and the person in the van. We were very fortunate to hit in the angle that we did, and since that accident, I've been more aware of the concept of daydreaming while driving. I've had a few instances where other people have almost hit me because they were daydreaming and driving, and I avoided them because I kind of know the pattern of how this happens. I've had people on their cell phones. One time I almost had somebody hit me on while I was walking, and what had happened was I looked straight at her eyes, the driver, and she was looking at me, but it didn't register in her mind that she was looking at me, it seemed like. And it just made me wonder what was going through her mind, and maybe she had a relationship problem, just had a divorce, or had an argument with a guy over wanting children or not wanting children. It made me wonder, now that I know how this can happen. What else is going on? I'm very fortunate. I now live in a place where it's walking distance to work. I'll be starting a job where I have a somewhat flexible schedule. If I don't feel comfortable driving, I can walk or take the bus. I don't have a problem with daydreaming while walking, though. Probably because if I start to daydream, I can go stop somewhere, right? Go window shop in a store or something and daydream it off, you know. Um, One time I have missed my bus stop because I was daydreaming. Obviously, it's not a big disaster, you know. I've never really missed an important appointment over it, but one time actually, I almost got hit by a bus because I had just had a really good conversation with a girl. I was going to school at the University of Pittsburgh at this time, and I was inside the campus and just had a really good conversation with a girl, and I was just about to head out, I think to get lunch or something, and as soon as I got on the crosswalk, I heard a bus braking really fast, and before I knew it, the bus was like 6 inches to 1 foot away from me. And when the bus had hit the brakes, somebody in the bus had gotten hurt, and so the bus driver insisted on getting my information, and I was so relieved that I didn't get hurt that I didn't hesitate to give it to him, and then I started to get worried, am I going to get sued for it? And so I crossed the street and go board a bus to where I was going to lunch, and the whole point, the whole ride, I was so concerned. And so I missed the stop. I ended up like miles away from where I was going to go because that was all I wanted to think about, was when am I going to get the lawsuit. And so for a month after that, every time I opened the mail or answered the phone call, I started to get worried about what it was about. And so, yes, it's been a year, and I no longer daydream and drive. I try to remind myself, am I daydreaming? To the point where it's almost become a distraction itself, and it's not that bad compared to the actual daydreaming. I just make it a rule of thumb that if at certain points along my commute, I have to remind myself. And I no longer schedule my drive time for any activities. Thanks for watching.